Hare Krishna. I'm very happy that we are discussing the holy names today evening, because it's the holy names that makes all our activities in material world auspicious. So we had beautiful kirtan, and I'm sure we'll have more kirtan after this. There is a very beautiful verse which I want all of you to repeat after me, because this verse explains the glories of the holy name, and the more we meditate on the holy names, more our lives become auspicious. So please repeat after me. Nama Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto, Abhinatvam Nama Namino. Nama Chintamani Krishna. The holy name of Krishna is Chintamani. Chintamani means it's like a wish-fulfilling pearl. It's like a precious, precious jewel. Chintamani. Nowadays, unfortunately, people don't value this Chintamani because they have Chinta for money. They are absorbed in material activities. But this is Chintamani, actually the priceless jewel. Nama Chintamani Krishna, and the holy name is Chaitanya. It's full of life. Rasa Vigraha. Holy name is a personification of rasa, mellow, taste, happiness, juice. We are all looking for mellow, relationship, taste. The holy name will give all of that. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho. It's completely pure. Nitya Mukto. It's eternally liberated. And the most important, Abhinatvam Nama Namino. No difference between the name and the named. Krishna and the holy names, there is no difference. So when we chant Hare Krishna, we are actually associating with Krishna. He is personally present. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Krishna is present in the form of his holy names. So if we are present, if we are attentive, we are actually associating with Krishna. To understand the holy names more deeply, I would like to share with you the journey of a spiritual aspirant. Most of us go through this journey in spiritual life, especially in Krishna consciousness movement. There are 3 phases or 3 stages, and holy names act as a bridge for us to move from the lowest to the highest stage. And the lowest stage is the stage or the phase of suffering. Many of us have entered Krishna consciousness at this stage, where we go through an undefined melancholy, some kind of sadness, frustration, suffering. And we want succor, relief, and holy name. We hold on to holy name. That's how many of us are introduced to the holy name. And why are we stuck in this phase? Why many of us are in this phase of suffering? Because we think I have to be happy. Everything is meant for me. And even when we enter relationships, we think of my happiness, my enjoyment. That's why most people are suffering in this world. Bhagavatam very graphically describes this. This is the lowest phase. Now we'll rise higher, but we need to know what is the lowest phase. The lowest phase, non-spiritual life or materialistic life, is where each person thinks of his own happiness, her own happiness. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko nate sukham vanyaditaramam va vindeta bhuya tateva dukkham nayatra yuktam bhagavan vadena. Mahatma Vidur tells Maitreya Rishi that look at the irony of people in this world. Sukhaya karmani. They perform work, karma, for what? Sukha. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko. Everybody is working to get happiness. And what do they get? Nate sukham. They don't get what they're looking for. Then they compromise. They say, okay, I don't get happiness. At least let me get a relief from my suffering. So, you were stuck at -5. You wanted +5. Imagine a vertical axis of happiness. We are at -5. We think if I perform activities in this world, I'll come to +5. But what happens? Sukhaya karmani karoti loko. Nate sukham. I'm not moving up from -5. So then I think, okay, Nate sukham va neditaramam va. Let me at least come to 0. At least let me get some relief from my suffering. But what happens, unfortunately? Vindeta bhuya tateva dukkham. We go to -7. We get more dukkha. Nayatra yuktam bhagavan vadena. Why does this happen? Vidura is inquiring. So materialistic life is when I think of my happiness, I endeavor only for my enjoyment, and the result is more suffering. Janasya Krishna vimukasya devad adharmashilasya sudukkitasya anugrahaye acharanti nunam bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. When we become vimukha, when we become away from Krishna and think everything is for me, we suffer. And that's how most materialistic people suffer, because they think of only themselves. I remember a few years ago, Guru Charana Padma Mataji was doing a seminar for Grihasthas at the Buckland retreat we used to have every year. So I was doing congregation preaching, and in my program, a lot of young couples would also be there. So I thought this seminar would be useful because I can share these notes with the young couples I am preaching to in Mumbai, because it was all about Grihastha seminar. And she said a very interesting statement, which I haven't forgotten. This is more than 10 years ago. She said the secret of happy married life is 6 rules. She said, if there are 6 rules, you will be always happy in Grihastha life. I said, really? So I was trying to write the notes. And what are the 6 things she said? Give, give, give. Forgive, forgive, forgive. So these are the 6 rules. So what does this mean? There is no happiness in Grihastha life if the focus is on self. So many of us, we suffer in this world because we want to take. So materialistic life is a life where we suffer because we have broken this cardinal rule. And the happiness or stability comes when we live by the principle of give, 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 forgive, forgive, forgive. Now we enter Krishna consciousness at this stage, and we want to progress, we want to be happy. And then we learn, give, serve. And devotees are wondering, but if I'm giving all the time, but I also need to be happy. Imagine 2 people come together and each one is thinking of their own happiness. There will be conflict sooner or later. Therefore, we need to give. But if one person is only giving, because this world is all based on service. Grihastha life is only based on service. That's how brahmacharya life is. One. Renunciation, sannyas life is. I live in an ashram where there are 75 family members. And it's not easy to please everyone. But I have to give. So now, at some point of time, we get frustrated because I'm giving, but I also need something. I need happiness. Only then I can give. And therefore, the second phase starts. We are taught in ISKCON programs. You want? Take it from Krishna. You take from Krishna and give to this world. Then you won't be frustrated. Otherwise, if somebody is only serving prasadam but not taking prasadam, it will get frustrating. You can't keep serving, you also need to be fed. Similarly, in spiritual life, we need to also receive, and we receive from Krishna. And that's the second phase. The first phase is a phase of suffering. Second phase is when we enter a space of happiness because we connect with Krishna. We seek our happiness from Krishna, and Krishna manifests himself as the holy names. So beautiful, wonderful devotees in our Krishna consciousness movement take nourishment from Krishna, and in all relationships of this world, they give. And that taking from Krishna gives them the strength to give. And when you give without expecting, you get a lot. And then when you get, then you're fully satisfied. The whole thing in ISKCON is about giving, but giving comes only when we take from Krishna. And Krishna is always abundantly giving us happiness. But Krishna consciousness doesn't stop here. Krishna consciousness movement is not about happiness. It's not about happiness. There is something more to life than happiness. Suffering, happiness, and then the third phase is love. Krishna sees that we are stuck at the happiness level. We are happiness addicts. So Krishna withdraws the happiness that he gave us through chanting of the holy names. He loves to play hide and seek. And that's when devotees start connecting to Krishna at another level, the level of love. There was a friend of mine. He was appearing for an exam. And he was staying 5,000 miles away from his wife because of lot of issues were going on in terms of their financial challenges. And they have a very good relationship. They were friends for 15 years, then they got married, they have 2 beautiful children. And Prabhu was appearing for an exam, which was very important for him to clear because then he would get a promotion in his job and he was going through a lot of debts. And it was very important for the family that he cracks this exam. So he was staying in another city, preparing for the exam. And at midnight, he got a panic attack because it was 1 a.m. and he was studying hard. And a few days later was the exam. And his wife was meanwhile in India. And he called her in the middle of the night. So it was middle of the night for her. So he called her. And she was shocked. Why would her husband call at 1 a.m.? So she picked up. And then he explained to her his situation, that he is very nervous. What will happen? Will I clear the exam? And she counseled him, and they had a very meaningful heart-to-heart conversation for almost an hour. And in the end, he felt pacified. He felt consoled, counseled. He felt reinvigorated. He felt a lot of strength. He said, yes. But just before they hung up, just before she hung up, she said one sentence to him. She said, Prabhu, we could have discussed this in the morning at 10 o'clock after the kids had gone to school. And then he said, I could have done that. I could have called you later. I'm sorry. And then, of course, they ended on a happy note. And after that, he met me. And he said, Prabhu, I'm very grateful to my wife. She was so nice. She helped me. But in the end, I was disappointed. Because that love, I somewhere felt was not unconditional. Because in the end, she said, you could have called me later in the day. Although she is right, and I apologized. But I feel some vacuum. It wasn't the way I wanted. I wanted her to just not say that one last sentence. Although she justified in saying that. I felt some incompleteness. So I said, she's right. He said, she's right. I shouldn't have called her at 1 in the morning. But I was so nervous. I said, we also go through nervousness. And then he said, what do you do? I said, we also call, but we call Krishna. This is a big bag. And Krishna doesn't get disturbed even if you call him at 1 in the morning. Anytime you can call him and you can say, Hare Krishna. You can offer your pain. You can offer your insecurity. So when we connect with Krishna, then you are nourished. And then you can navigate through the challenges of this world more soberly and more peacefully. Therefore, our source of happiness for Hare Krishna devotees is the holy names, making Krishna at the center of our lives. Otherwise, material life can be disappointing. Because Hare Krishna Maha Mantra chanting every day systematically teaches us the principle of tolerance, patience, humility, which are the key ingredients for a happy, stable relationship. Isn't it? There is a difference between thrill of romance and joy of chastity. And the holy name trains us in the space of joy of chastity. That is deep, it's long term, and more fulfilling. There is a difference between the fireworks we see during Diwali day and that quiet flame that burns in those traditional Indian temples. Have you seen those? There are some lamps in some temples like Puri, Srirangam, Udupi. They have been burning for thousands of years. So the heart, there is a flame in the heart, the flame of love for Krishna. And that has to keep burning every day. So bhakti is all about keeping that flame on. So many devotees I know, they have a practice. Before sleeping at night, they either light a lamp or figuratively, they imagine they light a lamp in the heart and they offer a prayer. Krishna, I light this lamp again today evening before I go to sleep. I keep this lamp burning. Sometimes the light fades, sometimes it flickers, sometimes it shines, sometimes it glows. But I keep it going. I keep it burning not because I want happiness, but because I want to belong to you. And that's the third phase of our spiritual life, which is love. Love is beyond happiness. Love is beyond happiness and feeling good. So there are devotees in Hare Krishna. We entered the Krishna consciousness movement thinking, I'm suffering, so I want happiness. Hare Krishna will give me happiness. And Hare Krishna did give happiness. But Krishna starts withdrawing happiness because he wants us to seek love. And then we don't get the same experience in chanting that we got during our initial days. And that's when we start telling Krishna, Krishna, whether I'm happy or not happy, I'm going to chant the holy names for your happiness. Srila Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But Srila Prabhupada writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that chant Hare Krishna is not for my happiness. Chant Hare Krishna and make Krishna happy. That is the final goal of chanting. So when we focus on making Krishna's giving happiness to Krishna's transcendental senses, then the holy name reveals a completely new dimension. We experience a sense of belongingness. Even as devotees, we go through frustration, disappointments, and one of the mistakes we do as devotees is we immediately want relief. We grab our smartphones. We go through YouTube Reels. We distract ourselves with the countless web series that we have on Netflix. We think, I just have to avoid suffering. But we can't get deep fulfillment in life without learning to embrace pain, without learning to swallow the bitter pill. And therefore, when we approach the holy name in this mood, that Krishna, whether I'm happy or not happy, I chant for your happiness. And that's when the holy name reveals to us the most munificent, most benevolent gifts. And one of the gifts the holy name gives us is we start seeing our own anarthas, unwanted things in our heart. And at the same time, devotees start feeling loved. So this is a paradox in Krishna consciousness. Devotees feel loved and they also feel inadequate. They feel humbled and they also feel a sense of belongingness. And that's what the holy names will give us. Recently, one of my very close friends, he went through a major disappointment. He was humiliated. He's been a devotee for 30 years. There was injustice in his life and he went through humiliation, a lot of negativity. And he was chanting the holy names, japa in the morning. I asked him afterwards, how are you feeling? He said, miserable, because I'm going through this pain. So I said, oh, so when you're chanting or asking Krishna to give you happiness? He said something amazing. He said, no. I was just saying, Krishna, this pain is terrible. This suffering is horrible. I can't stand it. I just ask you to be with me now. Because if I ask Krishna to remove my suffering, he won't. Because what's going to come, it's going to come. You can't avoid your quota. But when I asked Krishna, whatever it is, please be with me. And then he said a beautiful statement. He said, suffering is not a big problem. The big problem is the loneliness and isolation that comes when you have nobody to share it with. So therefore, when I'm chanting the holy names, I'm not asking Krishna to remove my suffering. Rather, I'm asking Krishna to be with me. And that's the success of chanting of holy names. And to reach there, Krishna will also help us see our own anarthas. So therefore, there are three things. First stage is the stage of suffering, where we are battered and bruised by the material energy. We seek relief and we come at the doorstep of the holy names. And Krishna mercifully gives us happiness. Why does he give happiness? To draw us in. He wants us to seek his love. So he pulls us in. And we enter the world of the holy name. We enter the world of Hare Krishna devotees. And then we realize at one point of time, Krishna withdraws the so-called happiness also. Why? He wants to give us. Why? Why does he withdraw happiness? Why does he withdraw happiness? Yes? No answers? To give us love. Yes. So he wants us to move from suffering to happiness to finally love. And then we realize when we experience Krishna's love, that whatever I experienced so far, that was the aroma of the feast, not the real feast. That was a consolation prize in Krishna consciousness. That was not the real thing. The real thing is Krishna's love. And to experience Krishna's love, we need to go through the whole churning. It's a journey. Like I have a very, very dear friend of mine who was in love with a girl and they got married after 7 years of struggle because they were from different castes and their parents are opposing. But after a lot of struggle, finally they got married. And then one day they called me home for prasadam. And they were sharing all their struggles, the stories. And it was amazing. It was like a movie story. I was like, wow, it's a real love story. And then a few days later, we had a program somewhere. And so we were returning back to the temple. And the sound system, the microphone and the speaker was in the car, was in his car. And I came in a car before. So I reached the temple first. And then I realized, oh, the sound system, the mic is in his car. So I called him. I said, Prabhu, the microphone is in your car. The speaker is in your car. So I was writing something on the computer. So I called him and I put the speaker on. And I kept the phone in front of me and I continued writing. And I said, Prabhu, my microphone, my speaker is all in your car. Can you drop it at the temple first before you go home? So he was driving. He took my call and he also put it in the speaker mode. And he kept it in front of him. And he said, yes, Prabhu, I'm on the way to temple. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I said, okay, thank you, Prabhu. And I continued writing. I forgot to hang up. I didn't disconnect. And he also forgot to disconnect. So, and then I continued writing. And suddenly what I hear on the phone, now he doesn't know that I'm hearing is the conversation. So he is driving. So what are the conversation all about? I asked him to come to my room. I told him, come to my room and drop the sound system. He said, yes, I'll come to you. I'm coming to temple in 5 minutes. I'll come to your room and I'll drop the speaker, the mic. I said, great. That's over. So then I continued writing and suddenly I hear his wife's voice booming because she's next to him in the car. He's driving. She started shouting at him. Now you will go and sit with Prabhuji in the room and I'll be in the car. And he's like, And left, right and center, she's chastising him. What is this? There is this maid who is going to come to our house and I'm going to get late. And then he's saying, I'll come in 5 minutes. I know you're saying 5 minutes, but each time you go to Prabhuji's room, you sit for half an hour with him. And then I have to sit in the car because I can't come to the brahmachari ashram there. And non-stop. And I was like, wow, is this the same lady? I was excited. I knew I was doing something wrong. I shouldn't be listening to their conversation. And I should disconnect. But it was too exciting. I didn't want to disconnect. I knew I was doing wrong, but somehow. And I was like, wow. Because I had never seen that aspect of her. Because in front of me, she was always very gracious. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please take prasad. And now she is chastising him, and he's like a mouse. And then at some point of time, I felt, I think it's not right. Because I had enough. My entertainment quota was over. So I disconnected. And then I kept quiet. So I continued working. And then he comes to the ashram after a few minutes. Prabhu, I've come with the speaker. Where should I keep it? I said, keep it here. He kept it. And he was rushing. I said, wait. He said, Prabhu, I need to go home. I said, why? Come on, just relax. Let us have a chat. Let's sit down. Yeah, no, Prabhuji, I need to go. I said, relax. What is the problem? He was so uncomfortable. Then I forced him to sit. I said, just 2 minutes, sit. And he sat. I said, Prabhu, I heard your whole conversation with your wife. And his lower jaw dropped. He said, you heard the whole thing? I said, yes. Kya jhapti hai yaar tere ko? In Hindi, I told him how much she chastises you. And then he put his head down and he said, Prabhu, what you heard was not even a trailer. And then we laughed. Then I let him go. He said, I need to rush. Now that you heard the conversation, you know, my wife is very upset with me. I said, go fast. And then after a few weeks, I went to their house for lunch and we laughed over this entire incident. And at that time, he made a very beautiful statement. He said, Prabhu, I'm convinced that my wife loves me very much. But the whole package includes this also, the chastisement. So I get that, I get sauce, heavy sauce, but I'm convinced that she loves me. And that's when I realized that's exactly how our relationship with the holy name is. If we sincerely chant every day your fixed number of rounds, you'll come to a stage when you will see Krishna. See, Krishna is an amazing, amazing lover. He's not only going to say, I love you all the time. He's also going to show you the mirror. He's also going to show you your dark side, your anarthas. And it's not easy to confront your own shortcomings and inadequacies. And Krishna is very merciful. Actually, mercy means to know who you are. And Krishna is going to show you that. It's very painful to see that I'm not very advanced. I'm not as wonderful as I thought I was. Because Cheto Darpana Marjanam, the holy name will purify, will cleanse our heart. But the beauty is, as we go through this intense churning, we'll also feel loved by the holy name. And therefore, it's very important that just like in a relationship, after the initial phase, we seek not the thrill of romance, but the joy of chastity. Similarly, in a relationship with the holy names, after the initial happy, chant Hare Krishna and be happy, we seek Krishna's happiness. We seek love. If in this mood we chant, the holy name promises us something most extraordinary. And then we realize, I was a fool. All these years I was seeking broken pieces of glass. Sthana bilashi tapasi sthitoham tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam kacham vichinvan api divya ratnam Swamin kritartosmi varam nayache. Little Dhruva is standing in front of the Lord and he has been desperate for a kingdom greater than his great-grandfather. He's been intensely praying and meditating to get a lot of material opulence. And now Lord Vishnu has appeared and he says, Dhruva, ask what do you want? And that's when Dhruva says, Sthana Bilashi Tapasi Sthitoham. I performed intense penances to get a position greater than my great-grandfather Brahma. And what did I get instead? Tvam Praptavan Deva Munindra Guhyam. I got you, which is more rare than all the priceless diamonds of this world. And now I realize that what I was seeking all this while was Kacham vichinvan api divya ratnam. I was seeking a broken piece of glass and I have got a priceless diamond. Swamin kritartosmi varam nayache. My dear Lord, I want nothing else. I just want you. So therefore, this is the greatest gift of holy name. Right now we are chanting holy name, many of us hoping this will give me happiness. This will give me peace. But eventually we'll come to a stage where we'll realize that holy name is not a means for something else. Holy name is the end. Holy name is the end of our journey. I teach breathing and pranayam in my classes, in my seminars and workshops sometimes. So in one of those bridge programs, I was teaching them the 4-4-4 breathing technique. So one Grihastha devotee who's been in the movement for 30 years, he was in the class and I saw him very jittery, very uncomfortable because he's seen me as brahmachari since 1998 in our temple in Chowpatty. And he was wondering, why is Vraja Bihari teaching breathing? Why not just tell them directly about chanting? So he was very uncomfortable. And he was the only devotee in that group. And rest, everybody was comfortable. After that, he met me. He said, Prabhu, I expected you to speak only on the holy names. Why were you teaching breathing? I said, I was just teaching breathing so that they learn how to just connect to themselves and be a little peaceful. He said, but we should chant Hare Krishna. I said, yes, I chant Hare Krishna every day. He said, no, but why are you speaking about breathing? We don't make spiritual advancement by talking about breathing. Then I told him that when I was a new bhakta, I chanted Hare Krishna so that I could get peace. And now I want some peace so that I can chant Hare Krishna. Now you decide whether I'm making advancement or not. Earlier chanting was a means for an end. Now chanting is the end, and you don't have to actually breathe to chant the holy names. Actually, even if you are miserable, just come to the holy names. See, we have this misconception that I have to be pure, I have to be wonderful, then I can come to Krishna. No, wherever we are, however messy your life is, just come to Krishna. That's real love. Raw, pure, just the way you are now, just offer Krishna. So, holy names will help us connect with Krishna at a much deeper level, and we can transcend simply seeking happiness to a life of fulfillment and love. So we'll chant this verse again, which I chanted in the beginning of the class. We'll end with this. Please repeat. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Namanamino. We'll chant once more, because in ISKCON we chant everything 3 times for auspiciousness. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Namanamino. Srila Prabhupada, I'll end with this pastime. Srila Prabhupada was flying from Dallas to New Orleans in 1975. And the plane in mid-air suddenly the pilot lost control, and there was turbulent winds and the plane started shaking. It was like a cyclone. And the overhead bin snapped open and the thing started falling. All the passengers were screaming in the plane. It was very scary. Srila Prabhupada was chanting, and he had his servant Upendra next to him. And Upendra, he grabbed Prabhupada. He thought, he's going to die now. We are all going to die. The plane is going to crash. Everybody was shrieking and screaming. And he held Prabhupada, and he saw Prabhupada just chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Completely unaffected. And he was shocked. And then after some time, the plane landed. There was an emergency landing. And then when everything was safe, then everybody again screamed out of happiness. Now, even this time, Prabhupada was quiet. He was just chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, Upendra was shocked. There was such a big crisis, emergency. We thought the sword of death was right above our heads. We were about to die. And Srila Prabhupada was completely equipoised. And now, it is a moment for jubilation, celebration, and Prabhupada is again equipoised. So, he thought there has to be some deep purport to this. So, he was waiting for Prabhupada to say something. So they got off the seat, and now they were getting off the plane. So he was looking at Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada is going to say something very mystical, very profound. And Prabhupada looked at him and said, so how far is the temple from the airport? That's all. And Upendra was shocked. And then Prabhupada never mentioned about it, he never spoke about it again. So Upendra Prabhu shares his realization that he realized that somebody is united with the holy name, somebody is so deeply connected with Krishna, this world doesn't affect. So therefore, let us all dive into the nectar of holy names and make our lives most auspicious. I sincerely thank all of you for coming today for this Kirtan program. Because wherever there is holy name, there is Krishna. And wherever there is Krishna, our lives are most auspicious. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Harinam Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
His grace, Vraja Bihari Prabhu ki jai. Thank you for